You're tuned in to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast.
Welcome to the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast, where we are showcasing the coolest brands and gifts while featuring movers and makers. I'm your host, Lenore, and this episode is all music-oriented. So we love introducing you to other podcasters that we've collaborated with. So let's bring up Jamie Rodriguez from Jrodconcerts Podcast. Jamie, what's up?
Lenny, what a pleasure. Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's so nice to finally meet you, and tell us all about your podcast. It's so music-oriented, and I want to hear all about your stories in the music industry, and maybe we've crossed paths. Who the heck knows?
I'm sure we have, Lenny, but first of all, I just want to, acknowledge that, you're such a great morning host for WBBO as well.
Thank you.
And such a great morning station, and happy to connect with you. So it's a pleasure. This is what I love about the internet, right?
Yeah, we could just go back and forth all day.
I love it. Well, today, I'm going to be honest, when we were recording this, I'm a little bit rattled, a little bit of a heavy heart because Mary Wilson, the founder of the Supremes, the longest member of the Supremes, passed away unexpectedly. And she was a friend of our show. She was with us a couple times, and she was just lovely. It never felt like talking to like a legend with her. Mm-hmm. It felt like talking to like a loving grandmother. She had so much to share, the whole thing, and she was in such great health and spirit. So it came as a shock, and so yeah, a little bit rattled today, but other than that, all good.
So out of all the different musicians that you have seen over the years, which one really stood out to you and made such a lasting impression on your everyday life? I'm going to be honest with you. One time I met Demi Lovato. I thought I was going to cry my eyes out.
Really?
But she I'll be honest, she didn't do it for me.
They say never meet your heroes.
Yeah, but then I met Lizzie McGuire, right? Some Hillary Duff action. And
I know Lizzie. Yeah, I know her very well, and her mom, yeah.
I'm asking you, but I'm just going to tell you my own life. I think it was 12, right? 12 or 13, 14. I saw her at a book signing. I think it was at Mendham Books in New Jersey, or Books or Greetings. I don't even remember. And I went to her, I had her sign my book, and the only thing I could possibly that came out of my mouth is, oh my gosh, I went to Italy when I was 13 too, but I was with my grandma, so I didn't fall in love. Bye. That was the exact line that I gave her. And she's like, right. Okay, next, please.
No, she's really nice. I've had a chance to meet her, and it's her mom, Susan Duff, that's behind it. She's kept them grounded with their values in Texas, didn't let Hollywood get into their head and all that. So, but yeah, she's a lovely girl. But to answer your question, I think I have to start with U2. Okay. I'm a big U2 fan, and I love their message. Bono and what they're about. I think that they had a big impact on me because I think they were the first band that showed me that writing about something bigger than yourself, about the commonality of the universe, what brings us together, the oneness, and then when you see them live and you experience this message with 40,000 people at MetLife Stadium or whatever, then that's when you're okay, they shook me forever, for sure.
I can see you had the poster in the background.
Exactly. I had to say it. I know. I'm a fan. I'm trying
to think if I have any. I'm trying to think if I have any concert posters and stuff hanging up in my house. I just got this Frank Sinatra piece.
Nice.
And it's all the lyrics are from My Way from a previous guest and looked really darn cool. But I think I need to incorporate a little bit more music stuff in my decor.
Yeah. Yeah, I hear you. What's a concert, Lenny, for you that that shook you when you were a little girl or growing up or recently?
So my first concert ever was at PNC Bank Art Center. And it was the Backstreet Boys. I had absolutely no idea that my boy Nick Jonas and the Jonas Brothers were opening up for them outside in the parking lot, because then it was 6 months later, I was in love. It's I saw them and I didn't even remember that. What? Right. So I love that show. And you want to know who's very entertaining? Let me tell you. Wiz Khalifa and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
the both of them together, saw them at PNC again. Holy yeah, it became a tradition that this is the first year in a row. Well, 2020 was the first year that my friends and I didn't go to a Wiz concert because the pandemic and it ruined our vibe. You know what I mean? But it's just, I like seeing people who were just truly entertaining and not just standing there, because that's just boring to me.
I agree with that. I agree. You like the artists that like go that force the audience to get into the show. They don't wait for it. Like Bruce Springsteen, right? From your neck of the woods kind of thing, like that.
And I'm actually a huge country fan, so I like going to the country concerts too, because I think it's crazy on how every fan base is just so different. Mm-hmm. And the country scene is just so welcoming and so friendly, and then they just like don't care in the nicest way possible, you know? Yeah,
I agree with you, Lenny. Yeah, the country thing, especially moving here to Nashville, has been really interesting and eye-opening to see the different layers. And
when did you move to Nashville?
Just recently in December.
Wow, so this is all brand new for you.
Kind of, yeah.
What made the move over there? Because of music, obviously?
Right, the music. Mm-hmm.
Where were you before that?
Totally. Miami. That's where we born and raised. That's where we, started my career in WHYI and Y100, and for sure, Miami, South Florida.
It was 10-ish years ago. I went to a Y100 Jingle Ball, actually. And
okay, who was playing?
Oh,
maybe I was there.
I honestly, I don't know. This is like, it's one of those things that I'm going to have to go on Facebook to scroll back and find the album to know exactly what I did that year. It's one of those concerts. I'm like, oh, what the heck did I do? And it was actually really, really cool. I enjoyed it. And so do you have like any Mr. 305 stories? Like, come on, if you're coming out of Miami.
Pitbull, you mean?
Yeah.
I do have one, but it's not what you imagine. I saw him at a Tony Robbins seminar, the motivational speaker. So if you're expecting a story like him, like just, like in top of a skyscraper with chains and stuff, like I don't have those. I do have like how he recharges and motivates himself, kind of like. How about that?
I'll take it.
Yeah. He was front row at a Tony Robbins 4-day seminar, just, yelling and getting into state and writing down his goals. And he credits Tony Robbins with a lot of the stuff he's done. So that's where he gets his mojo.
I mean, the more you know, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
How did you
sorry, Pitbull, that I'm unleashing your secrets here.
How did you actually get started in the entire music, radio, podcasting industry? What really pushed you in that direction?
Sure, but I'll ask the question to you after, though, because I'm also interesting. Although I know you had some great shows with your brother, and like you have a really
cool. You did your research, my friend.
Please, it wasn't that deep.
No, it's really not. Like he just could do is Google it, and it literally comes right up there with my one Getty image of my shoes that I wore to like a charity event. So thank gosh my toes were done.
But it's cool. It's cool that you always had that entrepreneurial spirit. Like, that was awesome.
Yeah.
How did I get started in radio? It was almost by accident, Lenny, honestly. I won, when I was in college, I won a contest. Like my first year of journalism school, I won a contest to go see the Victoria's Secret Angels, who were stopping by the radio station.
Ooh.
So I have somewhere like a photo signed with like Giselle Bundchen and Heidi Klum and Ambrosio and all of them, Tyra Banks. But it wasn't as crazy as it sounds now. I don't know. They weren't as famous, but whatever. I won this contest and I went as a fan, and I was in journalism school, and in the hallway I met the producer, Froggy, who's actually the only one still working there and at Z100 as well. And he said that they were looking for an internship, and if I was interested. And about a month later, I was starting as an intern in the morning show, paid my dues for a bit and became producer and blah, blah, blah. 12 and a half years later, I was jamming it out like you, rocking out.
And that obviously prompted Jrodconcerts Podcast. Like that had to,
Right, totally. That's how it started, the long form. And then the pandemic just like some force came into the podcast, like when the pandemic started, and it really, the success skyrocketed. Like, I mean, part of the reason we're here in Nashville is kind of like to keep that momentum going and have new endeavors and all that stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, which is awesome. Like, you got to kind of keep going. And the whole music industry, it's like pretty sad overall, because there's just like so much money that's lost because of the lack of shows. And then which states can I do shows and which states can I see people and what I can and can't do, or who's going to write about it on stupid Twitter and make me feel bad about my actions. And there's a lot of stuff.
Definitely. But before moving forward, Lenny, let me ask you about when you started at Fun 107.1 in the midday slot. Like, how was that? Like, tell me a little bit about like your first days in that midday slot. I like that slot.
So it actually took me a little while to kind of get there. But I think So like that, for one, that station got flipped. So it's not even a hot AC station anymore. It's a classic rock station. So before, like when I was there, I was actually, when I got my job in radio, I was still in college. So like that was pretty cool. It was my last semester. I literally remember I turned 21. I applied for the job, didn't hear anything. And then it was the last day of the semester of my junior year. I was going to DJs at the Jersey Shore for the first time, taking a party bus to DJs. And I got the call right before I got onto that bus. And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, yes, I accept the job. I will start Memorial Day weekend. I'll be there. Bye. Thank you very much. And that was,
you weren't going to party before, now you really were gonna party.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even care that it's my friend's birthday. Like, it's her birthday and I got a job, baby. So I was super duper excited. But I did weekends for fun, and then I did weekends for B at that time. And then by the time I graduated, they put me over for middays, which I do. I really do love the midday slots. Very cash, it's very vibey. Like, you just like chilling with everybody, going to the supermarket and the doctor's offices, and like, you know, teachers that are listening while their kids are at lunch type of vibe. So I like that, and the music was cool. But then they moved me back to do mornings at B. So I've been doing mornings this is going to be 4 full years.
Nice.
So yeah, the 4-year anniversary was December, because I actually started January. We started the new year together, and it just happened to work out really well. So I'm happy about that.
That's great. Great to hear.
Yeah, and sometimes I'll dabble in a little bit of the country, depending on if they like me at the time. But we'll see.
We'll see what happens.
We'll see what happens. We'll definitely see what happens.
That's great, Lenny.
For others that are trying to create a podcast, and especially in entertainment, for me, I know building a lot of the connections with the PR agents, sliding into DMs, messaging on Facebook, managers and things like that, literally going to concerts and just like asking, hey, can so-and-so, can I interview them when they get off stage type of thing? What advice do you have towards other individuals that are really trying to start and make this a career of their own right now?
Yeah, I think you know, it like everything, it has to be like, you have to really like, you can't dabble in it. And I'm sure you can attest to that. It can't be like a hobby. It can't be like a side thing. Like, there's so much competition out there. And if you want to stand out and have something that's valuable and have something of quality, you have to pretty much think about it all day and invest in it, invest your time, you know, do the research, you know, get in it, like just work on it every single day. It's not, you know, that would be my advice.
You know, you just reminded me of this story that I would start interviewing athletes at one point. So I went to this bar, and I wasn't 21, but I went to this bar just to interview like Ron Darling one day. And I like pushed my way through. I was like, listen, like I just have a microphone. I want to ask him like literally 2 minutes of questions. That's it. And I made a connection with the manager there. So like I went to other different athlete trade shows, like the baseball card shows, and like I got a chance to talk to like Mookie Wilson. Like that was pretty cool. And like different athletes at the time. And one was Justin Turner, and he was on the Mets at the time. And then a couple years later, I'm like, man, my guy's at the Dodgers, and he's like going to the World Series. Like, this is cool. And one time, like waved in the audience at the game. I was like, yeah, that's right. So like really like you said, putting yourself out there and like asking in person sometimes, even if you aren't getting the messages back on Instagram, on email, on Facebook or whatever, sometimes even just doing it in person may actually be that extra foot in the door and that extra push that you need to really just make those connections.
Yeah, I agree with that. And also, like you said, it's a small world, so make sure you have good relationships with everybody, and because it always comes back, you know, whether you have a good product or someone is rude or this or that. Like it's a small world. Like Nashville, everyone thinks Nashville is this big city, and it's like a city. It looks like a city, but it feels like a small town. You know, everyone is like 2 degrees from each other.
So are you a fan of country music, that you put yourself in the middle of like literally country heaven?
Yeah. Well, interesting you say that. Because right now it's also like becoming kind of like the alt rock capital. Like you're having this like influx of LA rockers coming here. So all these bands, like all these indie bands, like, you know, Moon Taxi or who else? Gris Folk. Like they used to live in California. Everyone's moving here. Everyone's moving. So it's becoming like also like a really cool alternative spot. But yeah, you know, I've never really been a fan of like any specific genre as itself. To me, it's about the song, Lenny. If it's a good song, It can be country, it can be bluegrass, it can be rock, pop. If the songwriting is good, it's deep, it's well rounded, like that's what gets me. And if it's shit, it's shit, regardless of the genre. Yeah.
Yeah, like there's a lot of different, so I do a lot of stuff in pop, right? So I am not always the biggest fan of certain pop artists based off of like personality and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, if you're able to just understand that they are just phenomenal at their craft and they're just so good, like I can't say anything bad about it. The music just speaks for itself. And I think sometimes we just have to like close our eyes, put it on, just like how the Voice does it. You know what I mean? Close your eyes, put it on, listen to the song, see how you feel. And then like you can open your eyes and be like, wow, like you are awesome. Like I don't care about what you're doing on the side. Your music is just, it's good and it speaks to me.
Yeah. No, there's great pop out there. I mean, last year, Dua Lipa, I heard for like 3 straight months, for example. Just some really good stuff out there.
Or we could talk about how The Weeknd with Blinding Light, like over 18 weeks straight at number 1, but then still didn't get a Grammy nomination. What?
Right. What do you think of the halftime performance?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yes, of course.
I just like, for the fact that he put an extra $7 million plus of his own entire money into this halftime show, I think I was just expecting a little bit more based off of that. And I also thought it was going to be 24 minutes long because they kept promoting on the fact like it's going to be the longest Super Bowl halftime show ever, but it really wasn't.
They all get 12 minutes.
Yeah, it was like 12 or 14, like
12 minutes.
Like
yeah.
24 to 12. That's a big difference. But I think that no matter who comes after J-Lo and Shakira, like it's really hard. Yeah. It's really hard to like top that overall. But I have to give The Weeknd a lot of credit because he was singing everything live and he was doing everything right there. And not many artists do that these days. So there's no way that I can take that away from him.
Yeah.
Did you like it?
I love to see. No.
Okay. So like we're both on the same level here.
And it has, I don't know. It didn't have, it's not the money, it's not the production. It just didn't have it. Like, like Prince in the Super, like to me, Prince is like the best one, right? Like what was that? Like 10 years ago in Miami in the pouring rain, and he did Purple Rain on the rain, and he knew the advantage. There's this story that the NFL offices told Prince in the morning, like, listen, Prince, it's gonna rain like all day. Like, are you gonna be okay? Like, do you need anything? Like, it's gonna be thundering. And Prince says, can you make it rain harder? that was his mindset, So it's always interesting to see what they do with the 12 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think is actually your most memorable performance, or your favorite performance?
From Super Bowls?
No, overall.
Some of the best shows are in New York, New Jersey, in the Garden and all that, but whatever.
Classic.
Yeah, I mean, they always bring it up there, but I have to say, David Byrne of the Talking Heads, he had an amazing show a couple years ago that's now was in Broadway, was, I don't know what's happening in Broadway, called American Utopia. It's just unbelievable. What else? I don't know, man. I've seen a lot of good music over the years.
You know what? It's very difficult to try to remember because I don't remember everybody and everything that I've seen. Like I just did an interview recently with Alex from All Time Low, and I had to call one of my friends, and I was like, "Where did we see them? How many times did we see them?" Right. Because
you were a big fan.
Yeah, I'm like, was it Warped Tour? Was it Bamboozle? Was it Starland? Where the heck did we go? And like I said earlier, this is one of those moments where I'm like, I got to check my Facebook to go check to see the albums to know exactly who I saw and when I saw it. Because they all kind of just blend at some point. And we're just, I think that the both of us specifically are just lucky enough that those things kind of can blend because we've been fortunate enough to be introduced and be able to see all of those shows, those performances and those concerts over the years.
Definitely. I'll tell you what, though, since I'm talking to the Queen of Jersey and the Tri-State area, I did see Bon Jovi in like a private show in Miami Beach, in Art Basel. Like there was like 500 people, maybe. So that was dope as heck because it was in the Faena Theater, little show for Sirius XM, and he was promoting his new album. So it was like living on a prayer with like 200 people. It was pretty dope.
That is pretty cool. That reminds me of, I was in Asbury Park once, And it was when I think I was doing the Keeping Up with Cool stuff, or I was doing the Teen Group. I don't even remember. But my friend Paige was with me at the Garden State Film Festival, and we were trying to go into this Wonder Bar because there was going to be a huge party with Clarence Clemens afterwards. And we're like, we gotta go. And then unfortunately, he passed away right after that. I was like, we were so close.
I know, but there's a lot of such great rockers come from your area. I love it. There's something in the water there. I mean, you look like a rock star. You're already a rock star.
Oh, really?
You know? Yeah, totally.
I only play the piano.
You got that thing going. Totally.
I could just play the piano. The guitar, no, I can't do any of that. I tried. In my songwriting process, when I wanted to be like on Disney Channel writing music, it didn't work, obviously. So this is why I ended up in radio and not on television, acting. And instead, I'm just talking and conversing with my own lines that I can say whatever I want. Actually, the next time that you are in the area, definitely hit us up. We'll go out. We'll do whatever.
Same to you. Have you been to Nashville?
I have been 3 times.
Same to you. Anytime you want to come in between drinking parties, let me know, and we'll go catch something cool.
Yeah, I'm definitely in there. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us on this episode of the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast. If you'd like to check out his podcast, you can go to Jrodconcertspodcast.com and check him out there. And make sure you follow on socials too, on Facebook.com/jrod.concerts.podcast, and on Instagram, Jrodconcerts Podcast, and on Twitter, Jrodconcerts. And you're on TikTok too. Oh my gosh, I'm starting to do my TikTok stuff as well. Jrodconcerts Podcast.
Yeah.
I just don't want to shake my butt.
Exactly. Just use it make it yours, but you gotta be on TikTok. Unfortunately, it's just just what the future is.
There was one video I did, and my brother's like, if you were showing a little bit more skin, you'd get a little bit more views. I was like,
absolutely.
I was like, thanks, Michael. That's not really what I was going for. It's about the content. It's not about my body.
I love it. I will tell you something though. It's probably gonna be public by the time you publicize this, but we haven't really told anybody as of today. We're doing we're starting a new live show weekly, with international music photographer Jeff Fasano, who's really well known here. He photographs Sheryl Crow, Margot Price, etc. So we're gonna do a weekly thing called Jrodconcerts presents live at 100 Taylor Street, which is a studio in a neighborhood here, and it's going to be a live thing, and eventually we want to have people after COVID, so we want to evolve the show a little bit for to have this weekly thing as well.
That's awesome. Again, you can check out Jamie's podcast at jrodconcerts.com. Thank you so much for joining us, and I will definitely be listening for some of those new live shows.
Absolutely, Lenny. Thanks so much.
So that's a wrap on another episode of the Brand Ambassador Select Podcast. I'm your host, Lenore. Hit that subscribe button so you never miss one, and more at brandambassadorselect.com. We will see you next time.